The resurrection through baptism. All of nature. Fire is the Agnus Dei, the lamb sacrificed since the beginning of the world, for our benefit. If we strike one stone against another, we see fire leap forth. It is latent in everything that is, everything that has been, and everything that will be. It is the cosmic Christos, the great sacrificed one. Thus, we must deeply reflect. Now then, the baptism for the dead would be of no use to us if we did not rise again. We would be utterly lost. Our efforts would be in vain, our labors futile. However, for the good of the great cause, we can and must rise again. It is clear that the corruptible cannot be made incorruptible, as it is written, that the mortal cannot be made immortal. But if the corruptible is clothed with the incorruptible, and if the mortal is clothed with the immortal, then a metamorphosis takes place within us, and we can achieve the resurrection. The pact of baptism, the baptism for the dead, has a purpose, which is the resurrection of the dead. It is clear that in order to achieve this resurrection, it is first necessary to fulfill the pact of baptism. That is why both the father and the mother of the baptized child take on a duty to themselves, and to the great cause, which is to teach the child the path of the razor's edge, so that later they may transmute the pure water of life into the wine of light of the alchemist. Since the dawn of life, in its human form, on earth, we made the mistake of falling into animal generation. In other times, the sexual act was considered a sacrament and was only performed within the temples of mysteries on the continent of Mu, or Lemuria, around 18 million years ago. No one dared, in that age, to engage in sexual union outside the temple. There was no animal passion then. But when sex became a vice, when desire was born, when, driven by Luciferian impulses, human beings began to copulate outside the temples, the result was the birth of sexual libido within us. That libido completely infected the 5 cylinders of the organic machine, and it is clear that dysfunctions appeared in those centers that did not exist before. When libido infected the intellectual center, located in the brain proper, the result was the birth of various morbid mental forms, products of the same morbidity, and some fractions of consciousness were even stolen or remained, let us say, involved in those forms. These forms then became mental, intellectual egos. When libido touched the emotional center located in the solar plexus, sympathetic nervous system, heart, etc., that center was altered, and the result was the emergence of certain emotional, brutal, infrasexual, libidinous egos. When libido, that libido of which the patriarch of our Gnostic Church, St. Augustine, spoke to us, touched the motor center, located in the upper part of the spinal column, the result was a disharmonious dysfunction in that center, which inevitably led to a whole series of subjective egos, personifying habits, giving rise to customs, to ways of acting more or less arrhythmically, in full disharmony or arrhythmia with the infinite cosmos. When libido affected the instinctive center, located in the lower part of the spinal column, the result was that all instincts were placed at its service, leading to the complete debasement of human creatures and the resurgence, in their psyche, of thousands of subconscious, submerged, inhuman egos. The sexual center, by itself, holds the greatest power that can free humanity, and also the worst power that can enslave humanity. The sexual center is a center of gravity, around which the entire humanity revolves. Everything that is, everything that has been, everything that will be. If the diverted sexual force, converted into libido, originated all those egos that collectively constitute the myself, the self, that same erotic force, duly transmuted and wisely used, can disintegrate all the inhuman elements, the ego that we carry within, and liberate the essence. Thus, brothers, baptism is a pact of sexual magic. It symbolizes transubstantiation. We need to convert water into wine, as Jeshua ben Pandira did at the wedding of Cana, or Chanaam. The Son of Man once lived within us. Remember, brothers, that the phoenix has witnessed the course of the ages. She saw the golden souls of the golden age transform into souls of silver, copper, and iron. Yet she remains the same. The phoenix, always crowned with a golden crown, with eyes that seem like stars, gazing at the unalterable infinite space, with her garment entirely of divine purple, and her blue chest, and her long green tail, where the stars of the unalterable infinite are reflected, and her golden feet, and her red claws, dies and lives. When she wishes to renew herself, she makes a kind of tomb, and in it places aloe, and myrrh, and incense, branches of all sacred kinds, and incinerates herself. All of nature is filled with an unspeakable terror, but finally, one day she rises again from her own ashes, stronger, more powerful than before, to rejoice in the infinite. Yes, brothers, that phoenix gives birth to a small phoenixito, and if the phoenix dies to rise again from her own ashes, her small phoenixito does the same. I want you to understand the allegory. That phoenix is the third logos, our particular, individual logos, the most sacred Holy Spirit, in whose name we always perform Gnostic baptisms. He is the Lord, the King of alchemy, the Hiram Abbot of hidden masonry, who is now dead but must be born in each of us, must rise in each of us. As for the small Phoenixito, he is the Son of Man, the Tifereth of the Hebrew Kabbalah, who needs to come into the world to work on the great work of the Father. The Gnostic baptism aims to prepare for the advent of the Son of Man. If we fulfill this pact of sexual magic, if we ignite the sacred fire, one day the Son of Man may come within us. He will be born in the stable of Bel, that is, in our inner temple of fire. By the way, brothers, remember that the village of Bethlehem, in the time of Jesus of Nazareth, Jeshua ben Pandira, had not yet been founded. Bethlehem comes from the word Bel, which means tower of fire. Each of us needs, through fire, to become a temple of the Most High, and this is possible by fulfilling the sacrament of baptism. When the Son of Man comes, he is born like any child, weak, innocent, pure. At first, his presence is hardly noticeable, but over time, the child grows and develops as he subjects all things to the Father, to the one who sent him. He must subject the inner kingdom to the Father. He must, with the help of his divine mother, eliminate the animals in the stable that have so defiled the holy place. As he works on the great work, he develops, unfolds, and manifests. It is written that after baptism, he begins his mission. The priests reject him. The Pharisees do not want him because he is a revolutionary. 100%. The scribes, that is, the intellectuals of the time, mock him. They do not accept him. The Pharisees hate him, and everyone wishes to kill him. There is always a Herod seeking him. But in the end, brothers, he continues to grow. However, he must live the cosmic drama. He must become the central character of the drama. He must pray on the Mount of Olives and say, "My Father, let this cup pass from me, yet not my will, but yours be done." He must be crucified. He must die a death on the cross. When I say, death, you must understand me. The Son of Man must die, for all the inhuman elements within him must die. Remember that the cross is composed of two branches, one horizontal, which is masculine, the other vertical, which is feminine. In the union of both lies the key to all power. Above the cross is the INRI, Ignis Natura Renovator Integram. Fire constantly renews nature. The mark of the 3 iron nails on the wood signifies the 3 purifications through which we must pass, my esteemed brothers, before the resurrection. Do not forget that Jonah was inside the belly of a whale for 3 days. Afterward, the whale vomited him onto the shores of Nineveh, and there he preached the word to call humanity to repentance. The Son of Man always remains in the Holy Sepulchre for 3 days before the resurrection. These 3 days symbolize, I repeat, the 3 purifications that we must undergo before he can rise again. The whale itself represents all the egos that we have within. On one occasion, I asked Master Moria something very important. It so happened that, in some place, I had an interview with the great master. He had no hesitation in telling me that, a certain master, whose name I do not mention, or do not recall at this moment, had eliminated so many thousands of whales. I do not understand. I said to Master Moria, what do you mean by that? And just as I was kissing his hand to take my leave, there came the answer. His hand had turned skeletal. Then I understood, and I gave thanks. Obviously, my dear brothers, the whale represents the psychological ego, the myself, the self. And when it is said that such and such a master eliminated 1,000 and so many whales, it means 1,000 and so many psychological egos. There are masters who have managed to eliminate more than 10,000 whales. When it is said that Jonah was in the belly of a whale for 3 days and a half, it is affirming that he went through the 3 purifications before he could be freed from the great whale. Some dogmatic sects, wanting to elevate themselves, and not having understood what the whale signifies, altered the biblical text, and now instead of whale, they put fish. But it is truly whale, just as it was written in the ancient Bible, the esoteric meaning of what I am saying. Once the Son of Man is vomited onto the shores of Nineveh, once the Son of Man rises from the sepulchre, after having completely eliminated those egos formed by libido, the resurrection comes. The posthumous work of the Son of Man is to also defeat death itself and put it under his service. The resurrection of the little phoenix is glorious. He rises in the great phoenix, and the great phoenix rises in him. And finally, the phoenix rises, emerging from its own ashes to speak in the purest word of the divine tongue, which, like a river of gold, flows beneath the dense forest of the sun. To the one who knows, the word gives power. No one uttered it, no one will utter it, except the one who has it incarnated. Thus, brothers, baptism is something grand. We are baptized for the dead with the purpose of resurrecting. What would baptism be worth if we did not rise again? Christ rose, and he must rise in each of us. Death is swallowed up in victory. O death, where is your sting? O grave, where is your victory? The phoenix, in rising from its own ashes, turns the sepulchre into a cradle. That is the grandeur. It transforms death into mother or nurse. He who rises from the dead, here and now, becomes a son of the sun, who has the right to always sign with the 7-pointed star. Only the sons of the sun, the resurrected and immortal masters, are the true rulers of nature. It is, therefore, necessary to understand each of these words, to become conscious of all this. We need to work on the great work if we truly want to reach the resurrection. Opening square bracket ... closing square bracket. Now, brothers, if anyone has a question, feel free to ask with the utmost freedom. Student: Master, I wanted to know if, in addition to baptizing my daughter, it is also necessary to confirm her? Master: Baptism is sufficient. She will do the confirmation herself when she is in the great work. Now, let us form our great chain.